The first time my family laughed at my work, I was 17 and holding a flashlight in a crawl space while my father told a neighbor he is good with his hands. College was never really his thing. They all laughed. I learned early that laughter could be a verdict. I am an electrician, union trained, 11 years in the trade. I shut down factories, brought power back after storms, and walked into rooms where one mistake meant a funeral instead of a paycheck. None of that ever impressed my family. To them, I was the one who worked with tools because I could not do better. My younger brother Ryan could do better. At least that was the story they told. He had a business degree, a clean pair of hands, and a way of speaking that made simple things sound expensive. When he announced his engagement to Brielle Hawthorne, my mother cried like a prayer had finally been answered. The Hawthorns were contractors, big ones, the kind who hated unions until they needed them. Brielle's father, Calvin Hawthorne, had his name on job sites all over the county. Ryan marrying into that family became proof that he had escaped us. The engagement party invitation arrived by text. Union Hall, Saturday, formal casual. I stared at the screen longer than I should have. Union Hall was not a venue, it was a place built by dues and funerals. You did not rent it for optics. You earned it by respecting the people who kept the lights on. 2 days later, my mother called, voice tight and urgent. We are short for the deposit, she said, just until next week. Insurance paperwork. I wired the money that night. I should have known better. I always did, after the fact. On Friday, Ryan posted a photo. Brielle in a white dress. Champagne flots. Caption, asterisk, big weekend energy. Asterisk, the background was the same restaurant my mother once said we could never afford. Saturday came, anyway. I cleaned my boots until the leather shined, put on a plain button down, no logo, no union jacket. I did not want to give them a costume to mock. Union Hall smelled like old wood and lemon cleaner. Flags hung straight. The memorial board caught the light just right. I paused in front of it, like I always did, and touched the edge of the frame. They had already started without me. My mother waved me over, smiling too wide. Ryan clapped my shoulder like we were on good terms. Hey, he said, loud enough for others to hear. You made it. I was not sure you could get away from, you know, he gestured vaguely, as if my work were a nap I refused to wake up from. I smiled back, the kind of smile that does not argue. That was when I noticed the banner. Asterisk, congratulations, Ryan and Brielle. Asterisk, printed clean. Expensive, hung exactly where the union charter should have been. I understood then. They were not celebrating love. They were celebrating distance, and they had paid for it with my money. If you have ever been the one who funds the joke and still ends up being it, you know what that realization feels like. It settles in your chest, quiet, heavy, and once it settles, nothing ever sounds the same again. Union Hall had a rhythm when it was used the way it was meant to be used. Meetings started on time, chairs sat in clean rows. Men and women who worked with voltage and gravity did not raise their voices just to hear themselves. You could feel the rules in the air like a second ceiling. That night, the rules felt bent. Music played too loud for the room. Someone had dragged a speaker in and set it right under the flag. The buffet table stretched along the wall beneath the memorial board, chafing dishes steaming, silver tongs clinking. Balloons bobbed near the ceiling like a mistake no one wanted to claim. Ryan moved through it like he owned it. He had on a crisp shirt with the sleeves rolled just enough to look relaxed. His watch caught the light every time he lifted his hand. Brielle stayed close, her smile fixed, her nails pale and sharp, one palm always resting on Ryan's forearm, as if she were marking inventory. Calvin Hawthorne stood near the front, a broad man with a tan that did not come from weekends. He wore a blazer like he had dressed down on purpose. When he laughed, the sound filled the room and made other people laugh with him, even when they did not know why. My mother steered me toward them before I could drift to the back and disappear. Van, come say hello, she said, using the nickname she only used when she wanted something from me. Ryan turned and grinned like we were brothers in the way other people were brothers. This is my big brother, he announced. He keeps the lights on. Brielle's eyes slid over me. Boots, callous, simple shirt, no ring, no expensive belt. Cute, she said, like she was talking about a dog that could sit on command. Calvin's handshake was dry and quick, his grip soft in the middle. He did not look at my face long enough to remember it. So you are the electrician, he said. Not union electrician, not journeyman, not the man who fixed the problem when his job sites were on fire, just the electrician, like a tool you left in the rain. I nodded once. Yes, sir. Ryan laughed. He loves it. He says it is honest work. My father appeared on my other side, already flushed from beer. He leaned in with the heavy warmth of a man who had never had to be careful in his life. Tell them about your little night shifts, he said. He thinks he is saving the world. A couple of people chuckled. Brielle's smile widened. You must be very handy, she said. Actually, could you do me a favor? She did not wait for an answer. She reached behind the buffet table and pulled out a metal tub filled with ice and bottled drinks. She held it out like it weighed nothing. Can you take this around? She asked. The guests will love you. It will be like authentic. Ryan's grin sharpened. He watched me the way people watched a coin toss. My mother touched my elbow. Just a little pressure. The old signal. Do not make a scene. Do what you are told. I took the tub. Ice water sloshed over my knuckles. The cold bit into my skin. The bottles clicked together with every step. As I moved through the room, people accepted drinks without meeting my eyes. A few offered polite thanks that sounded practiced. Some did not speak at all. One of Calvin's friends slapped my shoulder hard enough to jolt my teeth. Good man, he said. At least somebody works. I kept moving. Near the back, I noticed faces I did recognize. Two older guys from the local, sitting stiff in their chairs, watching the room with narrowed eyes. They looked out of place among the Hawthorne crowd. Their gaze followed me, then flicked to the memorial board, then back to me again. One of them started to stand, then sat back down, jaw clenched. I finished the circuit and returned the tub to the table. My fingers were numb. Brielle did not thank me. She was too busy laughing at something Ryan whispered in her ear. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from my mother, even though she was 10 feet away. Asterisk, Ryan wants you to help with the setup in the side room. Be supportive for once. Asterisk, side room meant the storage area where the union kept boxes of pamphlets and spare folding chairs. It also meant away from witnesses. I walked over anyway. Ryan was waiting, two champagne flutes in his hands. He held one out to me like he was offering peace. Relax, he said. You look like you are about to file a grievance. I did not take the glass. He shrugged and took a sip from his own. Come on. Tonight is not about you. Just do not be weird. Not about me, I repeated. Ryan's eyes flicked to the pocket of my shirt, the spot where my union card sat flat against my chest. He smiled like he could see through it. It is about me, he said. It is about moving up. Then he leaned closer, voice lower, the words aimed like a shove. And you should be grateful you get to watch it happen. On the other side of the wall, the music swelled. Someone cheered. A camera flashed. I looked past Ryan at the stacked chairs, the dusty boxes, the folded flags stored wrong. They had turned Union Hall into a stage. And they had decided my role before I even walked in. If you have ever been handed a costume you did not agree to wear, you know the moment your body stops asking for permission. It starts preparing for impact instead. Ryan liked an audience. He always had. At 8:30, he clinked his glass with a spoon and stepped to the front of the room, right beneath the banner that covered the charter. The music cut. Conversations folded in on themselves. Phones came out. Brielle took her place at his side, chin lifted, smile polished. My mother moved closer to the front row. My father leaned against a table, already swaying a little, pride loose on his face. Thank you all for coming, Ryan said. This night means everything to us. Applause followed, eager and automatic. Ryan went on about love and opportunity, about the future, about surrounding himself with people who believed in growth. Each word sounded rehearsed, tested in mirrors. Brielle nodded on cue, one hand resting on his arm like a seal of approval. And of course, Ryan continued, turning just enough so the room followed his gaze. I want to thank my family. His eyes landed on me. Especially my brother, he said. Van keeps us grounded. He reminds us where we came from. A few people laughed. The soft kind, the kind that did not want to be the first to stop. He works hard, Ryan added. Real hard. Nights, weekends. Not everyone needs ambition to be happy, right? The laughter grew. My mother smiled, relieved. My father chuckled and shook his head, like boys would be boys. Ryan lifted his glass higher. So, let us toast to moving forward, to not getting stuck. That was when Brielle reached for the pitcher. She stepped toward me without looking, eyes still on the room, the motion casual enough to look like an accident. The pitcher tilted. Amber liquid surged over the rim. It hit my shirt and chest in a warm, sudden wave. The smell of beer filled my nose. It soaked into the cotton, ran down to my belt, splashed onto my boots. A drop slid down my wrist and fell to the floor. The room gasped. Someone laughed, sharp and surprised. Oh my God, Brielle said, hand flying to her mouth. I am so sorry. Her eyes flicked up to mine. They were smiling. Ryan laughed too. Come on. It is just a drink. I took one step back. Enough, I said. The word did not carry. The room was still buzzing. My mother rushed toward me, napkin in hand. Do not be dramatic, she whispered. Go clean up. I turned to leave. As I moved, the inside of my shirt tugged. The small weight I always forgot about shifted, then slipped free. Metal hit wood. The sound cut through everything. Clink. It rolled once, slow and deliberate, catching the light before stopping near the center of the floor. Silence spread in a way I had only heard on job sites right before something went wrong. An older man in the back row stood up so fast his chair scraped loudly. His hair was white, his hands thick, scarred. His eyes were locked on the object on the floor. No, he said, not loud. Certain. No, no. He walked forward, bending with care, and picked it up. It was a small, heavy pin, worn smooth at the edges. A safety challenge coin pressed thin and drilled to fasten inside a pocket. Only a handful existed. You did not buy them. You did not ask for them. You earned them by being present when being present mattered. The man looked at it, then at me. Where did you get this? He asked. I did not answer. The room leaned in. He swallowed, then turned slowly until he faced Calvin Hawthorne. You rented this hall, he said, and you let this happen. Calvin frowned, confused and irritated. I do not see the issue. The man's jaw tightened. This pin is issued after fatal investigations. It is given to people who stand in rooms where blood is still warm and decide whether anyone else dies. A ripple of unease moved through the crowd. He looked back at me. You were there. Yes, I said. Ryan laughed once, high and nervous. This is ridiculous. He is a helper. He fixes lights. The man stepped closer to Ryan. I buried 3 friends because contractors ignored lockout procedures, he said. This pin means your brother stopped that from happening again. Brielle's smile cracked. Calvin took a step forward. Now listen, sir. This is a family matter. No, the man said. This is a union hall. A woman stood from the side, her posture straight, voice clear. The deposit came from his account. All eyes turned to me. He wired it, she continued. Then he was told to serve drinks. Ryan stared at the floor. My mother's mouth opened. My father stopped smiling. The man held the pin out to me, his hand steady. You do not get to humiliate one of ours in this room, he said. Not with his own money. The banner behind Ryan fluttered slightly as the air shifted, and for the first time all night, no one laughed. I did not raise my voice. I did not step toward anyone. I bent, picked up my pin, and slipped it back into my pocket like it belonged there, because it did. Ryan tried to laugh again. It came out thin. This is getting out of hand, he said. You people are acting like he is some kind of hero. No one answered him. Walt Briggs stood up from the side row. He had been quiet all night, arms crossed, watching the room the way a breaker watches a surge. When he spoke, he did not need a microphone. This event is over, he said. Union Hall is closed for the evening. Calvin Hawthorne scoffed. You cannot just kick us out. Walt looked at him without blinking. Watch me. The room shifted. A few Hawthorne guests stood halfway, unsure which direction loyalty moved when rules entered the conversation. Someone near the buffet started stacking plates without being told. Ryan turned on me, face flushed. What did you do? I paid a deposit, I said. Then I watched you spend it. My mother stepped forward, hands shaking. Van, this is unnecessary. You are humiliating your brother. I met her eyes. He humiliated himself. My father tried to joke his way through it. Come on. It was a drink. Families tease. Walt cut in. Families do not commit misuse of funds and call it teasing. The woman from the side, Marisol, held up her phone. We have the transfer records, the request texts, the timing. If this goes further, it goes to the local. Calvin's face darkened. Are you threatening me? No, she said. I am explaining consequences. Brielle grabbed Ryan's arm. Do something. Ryan yanked free and stepped toward me, voice low and frantic. You always do this. You always make things complicated. I looked at him, really looked at him, and felt something settle. I make things clear, I said. You just do not like what they say. He laughed again, sharp and brittle. You think this makes you important? I pulled my phone out, unlocked it, and turned the screen toward him, not to show off, just to end it. A list of transfers, dates, notes, his name in my mother's messages, again and again. I think this makes me finished, I said. Walt clapped his hands once. Everyone out. People moved. Not fast, not slow, with the steady obedience of people who understood authority when it spoke plainly. Chairs scraped. The banner came down. Someone folded it carefully, like it had never belonged there. My mother started crying in earnest now, the kind of cry meant to draw sympathy from strangers. This is tearing the family apart, she said. I shrugged. It was already torn. I just stopped holding it together. Calvin leaned in close, breath hot with anger. You think you can work in this town after tonight? Walt smiled without humor. He already does. The room emptied until it was just us and the flags and the echo of what had been said. Ryan stood in the center, hands empty, eyes darting. You could have talked to me privately. I shook my head. You made it public. Outside, the night air felt cooler than it should have. I stood on the steps of Union Hall and typed one email with steady hands. Subject: boundaries. I did not explain. I did not apologize. I listed facts. I set limits. I warned of consequences. When I hit send, my phone felt lighter. Behind me, through the open doors, I could hear my family arguing, blame bouncing off walls that had heard better men take responsibility. I walked away without looking back. If you have ever chosen silence over screaming, you know how loud it can be. The quiet afterward surprised me. Not the first night. That one rang with missed calls and messages that stacked like unpaid bills. My mother cried in voicemails that said my name more than they said sorry. My father texted paragraphs that tried to explain jokes into kindness. Ryan sent nothing at all. It was the mornings that changed. I woke up without bracing for the day. No stomach knot. No rehearsal in the shower. I drank coffee at the kitchen table and read the news like a man whose life did not require translation. Work filled the space they used to occupy. The right kind of work. Shutdowns that ran clean. Apprentices who listened. A foreman spot that came with responsibility instead of noise. When I walked into Union Hall again, weeks later, the banner was gone and the charter hung where it belonged. Someone had polished the memorial board. I stood there longer than usual. Marisol nodded at me as she passed. Walt lifted 2 fingers. No speeches. No looks. just acknowledgement. At home, I built something smaller and better, a routine, a person who did not confuse access with love. We cooked. We fixed a leak under the sink. We planted tomatoes in a patch of stubborn dirt and argued about whether they needed more sun or more water. My family tried again, in their own way. An email arrived first. My mother wrote that she was proud of me. She did not mention the money or the night or the drink. She asked if we could start fresh. I saved it and did not reply. My father called once, voice careful, asking about work like it was a foreign language he was trying to pronounce correctly. We spoke for 10 minutes. He did not ask for anything. When the call ended, I felt tired but not angry. Ryan sent an email months later, 12 paragraphs about stress and pressure and how he had always lived in my shadow. The apology was there, somewhere, but it was wrapped in explanation like bubble wrap. I read it once and closed it. Some things do not need a response to be answered. In the spring, I signed papers on a small house with a yard that needed work. I did the wiring myself, not because I had to, because I wanted to. The inspector shook my hand and said it was clean. I slept that night with the windows open, listening to nothing at all. One afternoon, my phone buzzed with a number I did not recognize. I let it ring. When it stopped, I felt no urge to chase it. I thought about the night at Union Hall, about the sound of metal on wood, about how quickly laughter can disappear when truth walks into the room. I thought about how long I had confused endurance with loyalty. I did not win by embarrassing anyone. I did not win by being louder. I won by leaving, by choosing a life that did not require me to earn respect from people who only noticed me when they needed a transfer confirmation. Some families remember you for who you are. Others remember you for what you provide. When they lose the second, they call it heartbreak. I call it quiet. And if you have ever been told to wait your turn in a room you helped build, ask yourself this. When you finally stand up and walk out, do they miss you or do they miss what you gave them?